So, okay. So there's this book called The Water of Life. I just got a copy. I've read some of it when I had cancer. Basically, it's this doctor, and he puts all these cancer patients on the same protocol, the same diet. It's drink every drop of their pee and water, and that's it. No food, just every drop of your own urine. And you have to rub aged urine on all of your skin 3 times a day. And according to this protocol, he cured all his cancer patients. Now, with what I've seen now with aged urine, I believe it, but this is the last thing I want to say about it. So there's this channeled book about Jesus's grandmother, Anna. And so channeled book, so we can call it historical fiction. And in this book, she gives techniques on how she became an immortal yogi. So Anna is part of the Babaji lineage, and which I'm connected to as well, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But the last thing I want to say is that in this book, Anna said that her technique to rejuvenate her body was that she would fast and then go in this cave that had a sarcophagus, and in the sarcophagus there was a amniotic plasma-like fluid. It says that in the book. And she would wrap herself in cloth and soak in this amniotic plasma-like fluid for 50 years. And then she'd come out looking like a young person again. Now, if you know about the legends of Babaji, that's what they say these great immortal yogis would do, right? They go in the cave for 50 years, come out looking like a young man. And I'm sure they just did it through meditation, because if you believe in who Babaji is, he's an incarnation of God. So Anna is giving a technique on how she lived to be 600 years old. And supposedly, according to this book, she drenched herself in aged urine and fasted. And strangely enough, it makes logical sense.
Just a quick story. There's a gentleman that I'd like to get on the show here. His name's Dean Clifford, and he's more in the sovereignty circles up in Canada. Great guy. But he was thrown in jail the last time, and he's, became very health conscious in his journey and didn't want to eat any jail food or drink horrible water while he was in jail. And he was in there for a good number of months, and he just drank his urine. And as he described, came out, wouldn't have ingest anything else. And he did that the entire time and came out. He felt just feeling healthier than he ever had in his whole life. So totally. If unfortunately somebody gets shackled and chained and dragged in the slammer, it's a good way to not only survive, but thrive and detox while you're in there.
Absolutely. I mean, you're stuck at sea, you're stuck in the desert. God forbid the power grid and the water goes out. I always like to make the joke, well, I'm going to outlive everybody if the power grid goes out. But I mean, it's Shavambu, urine therapy, whatever you want to call it, is what I believe ultimate sovereignty. I mean, it really is. This is like saying, hey, I just need myself. Like, give me a little bit of water, a little bit of food. I'll take care of the rest. That's why they call it looping, because you're looping your own waters. And and that's a really cool story.
Incremental step towards breatharianism, I guess.
Yeah.
And totally. One other little tidbit that might be interesting, everybody's worried about blood clots these days for people that have taken the gene therapy. And, glutathione, as you already mentioned, that you get raised 600%, raised in your bloodstream when you do a coffee enema. That does break down the two-dimensional graphene that, is found to be causing a lot of the clotting mechanism in that experimental medical procedure. But also in urine, there's something, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm trying to remember, it's in urokinase. Urokinase, and that also breaks down the fibrin that could create possible clotting issues, and especially these days where people are having that provoked by this medical procedure. Raise your glutathione, get some urokinase in your bloodstream, and then something else on a biological level called mucoracinosis would be a great idea too. And then kalimir or cell salt. So those 4 things, you can really normalize the viscosity of your blood and maybe even come out the other end unscathed, even if you've had the medical procedure.
Yeah. Groovy. We are self-sustaining healing machines. Aren't we incredible?
Absolutely.